if you give us too much shit, we'll just get pissed off and quit. So don't do it. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show, telling you everything that we know. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Weird Science Marvel Comics Podcast, episode 93, legacy number 593. We're getting close to 600, as is the DC Comics Podcast as well. But I'm here with Matt, as always. What up, Matt?
What up, Jim?
What up? Anything cooked this week? Oh. I was looking the other day to see how many actual Marvel... Everybody's quit. I think there's nobody left. Everybody
podcasts, they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think all the Marvel podcasts are just like, this stuff stinks, and they leave. But here we are. We still torture ourselves each and every week, and thank God Nick Lowe is there to keep us going. Oh, Nick Lowe.
The great unifier, Nick Lowe. Bringing everybody together.
Yeah, bringing everybody together with pitchforks and freaking... what's it called? Torches. Oh, but here we are. We're going to be doing Amazing Spider-Man, me and you, and then me and Gray will be, probably doing some at least decent stuff because I think Nick Lowe's not involved. He definitely is the villain of all this. It's just, oh my God, the guy just gets his dick prints in everything. And anytime he does, it annoys me.
But he just doubles down on everything that people don't like.
God.
And he's just
all he does. That's all he does. I think he takes a survey and finds out what everybody hates and then pretends to like it just to annoy people. And I don't get it. I guess I don't know. I just don't get it. The guy likes to be hated, I guess, because he certainly is doing a good job at that. But before we get into this, I'll let everybody know you can check us out on the intrawebs over there at our Weird Science, MarvelComics.com website, where you'll have written reviews, not from Gabe, for the near future, as far as we can tell. Unfortunately, he had a family issue, pretty serious, too. So even if you do hate Sus Gabe or you give him some shit, please, keep him in your thoughts. He has some stuff going on with him and his family. But in the meantime, Gray told me he's stepping in. He's going to step in and step up. I told him, don't hurt yourself.
Gray must be a clone or something, too. AI clone, because he's on everything now. So,
well, yeah. Well, I told him, I said, I'd rather have him on podcasts than writing written reviews. Because written reviews just end up getting you yelled at and stuff. And Gray is a sensitive guy. I don't need him getting upset. So, but I'm telling you, there's going to be some people, and that's when I'll get pissed off, when I see some people like, thank God Gabe isn't reviewing things or thinking that Gabe quit. That's the one thing where I might have to just step in as Gabe. I might have to do some ghost writing as Gabe, and suddenly they'll be like, man, this Gabe, he's really on it for the past couple
He's firing on all cylinders now.
Yeah, this guy really means business now. No, but if anybody's out there and you do end up, thinking that Gabe quit for any other reason, he did not. He just has a family issue. So we'll be continuing on. He has not been on the Marvel stuff on the podcast, but he is on the DC one, but he's going to be taking a little bit of a break from that as well. Hopefully he'll be back at some point sometime soon. But here we go. Amazing Spider-Man. Somebody I wish wasn't back or even around is Nick Lowe. We already said it, but this guy, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get where you legit seem at this point to have a business model that is piss off your fan base. Just any step of the way, even if it's an issue that there's no reason or it doesn't have to happen, right?
No.
And then he does it. Why? Why? Also, in this, he does mention at the end how much he loved that stupid Spider-Man Godzilla. Yeah, you loved it because half of it was you acting like a jerk. So here we go. The Amazing Spider-Man, number 6. This issue isn't even anything. You actually messaged me, said I would hate it. You are correct. But in the meantime, I don't like it because it's really nothing. It's a bunch. Really what it is, and this is weird, it's issue number 6, right? Why does it feel like it's supposed to be a jumping on point for new readers? Like, new readers should already be here. There's so many things that are like, Oh, remember this? Hey, see that? Oh, remember that? Why now? Why?
And also, it's issue 6, but it's really issue 970, which it's insane that we still.
970.
It's been around forever.
Yes, well, it has. Written by Joe Kelly, pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, Marcelo Menez on colors, DC Joe Caramagna on letters, and, resident dickhead Nick Lowe editing. Right now, when you get that first page, Brian Nearing, this guy is a chameleon. The guy changes and he's morphing more. He
looks like he lost half his body weight.
Yeah. Maybe he's on the keto diet, man.
Or the Ozempic, more likely.
Yeah, well, that's the cheap way. Well, it's the expensive way, but the easy way. My son, actually, Zach, saw me the other day and said that I look like I'm in better shape than I've been in 10 years. He told me. But then he also said that he wishes I wasn't because he was certain that I was going to die soon. And that's what he wanted, I guess, is what he was saying. But
oh, man.
You end up, I'll read the recap. Even this whole issue's recap. Peter Parker's life is finally going well. Is it? The guy was high as shit 2 issues ago, screaming and yelling and bashing through downtown, fighting nobody. Zipping cars
and before that, the eight deaths of Spider-Man were like,
how's it going well?
That seemed like he was never going to recover from that.
He died. Then he comes back, and then he ends up high as crap, and it's going well? It's going well. Now, in this, there seems to be about a month time jump, it seems, and that's where they're saying that, but if you don't see it, what are you getting? He squashed Hobgoblin's latest scheme. Did he? With the help of his long-lost childhood friend, Brian Nearing, nobody likes, and did so. Brian, the only thing that gives him a pass is he's not Paul.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, is he the new Paul now? Maybe
No, he's just annoying. But soon he'll be dating Mary Jane. With the help of his long-lost childhood friend, Brian Nearing, and did so without losing his new job at Rand Enterprises. Seriously, he didn't not lose his job because of anything, but he didn't lose it. They didn't want him to lose his job.
Hope he should. I hope when Iron Fist comes back that they just squash this whole corporation.
I don't
just shuts it down.
I want him to show up so we can finally figure out what the hell they do. Yeah, you have this Brian Nearing walking around pretending he's in Last of Us with freaking, a hat that's made of mushrooms. They're not doing much.
And they act like they own it. It's called Rand. I don't see, that's not your last name or what is this?
It's not Nearing Industries. The guy I don't know. I don't trust that Mara Osmani Milton mom, Dr. Ohm. I do not trust her. I think that she is kind of a weird way manipulating Brian to get some of these mushroom things. But again, Yuli, you mentioned it to me before we started. It just feels like what's going on in Daredevil anyway. But also thanks to Brian. Yeah, Brian, he helped a lot. Aunt May is proud of him, is she?
No.
She's shacking up with Ricardo, and I called it. I knew it. Shay is still talking to him. Well, that's great. I like Shay. You like Shay?
Yeah, I do.
This issue, she's a straight up bitch. And it's so ridiculous. His greatest enemy, Norman Osborn, is now his greatest ally. Until he isn't again, because that kept jumping around. Stupid Seb Welson. Spider-Man is friendly neighborhooding. So things are good. And there's absolutely not a saying about what happens when things are going well, right? When are they well?
Nick Lowe definitely wrote this, right?
It sounds like him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wait till we get to this one editor's note. I want to reach into. Can I reach into an issue and strangle the editor? Is there? I don't want to say that violence is the answer, but sometimes it might be. I don't get it. But you start out where Peter's doing science-y work. He's also playing a game on what looks like a PSP that nobody's had for like 20 years.
Yeah, Journey into Mystery on a PSP.
Yeah, Journey into Mystery on a PSP.
And he's using a digital camera.
Yeah, I saw my PSP the other day. It's just sitting there.
Mine is just sitting there too.
I actually liked the PSP for a little. It wasn't the greatest, but I kind of liked it. But he's there and he's like, man, I don't know what this feeling is. I think it's happiness. I'm like, okay. You can't just force it in. Also, because you say that Peter's more mature this issue does not mean that people are going to get off your back about him growing up, because he still doesn't. But he ends up where randos have kidnapped the governor? That I don't even
Senator,
know
maybe.
I don't even know what's going on here. They seem to have like roughed him up. He's bleeding, and then all of a sudden, there's Spider-Man who's flinging around and says, "Oh, I didn't know if I'd have anybody to stop, but now that you guys in your mask, this is nothing."
How did he know they were in there? And also, there's like a presidential seal inside that limo. I'm looking at it. Like, why would he crash into that?
Guys with the hoodies. Also, John Romita Jr., God bless his soul, the guy loves to draw broken glass, but can't do it with a shit. It always looks bad.
Is he confusing the glass with the webs, maybe?
It looks like webbing. It always did.
It's that safety glass stuff.
And he's like, hey, and here's the, classic Joe Kelly. Hey, thank you for being my crime appetizer, my crapatizer. I said, that doesn't.
No. It's too much of the second word, not enough of the first.
Yeah. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. And it's just supposed to be a joke. But again, Joe Kelly thinks that everybody reading this book is a 7-year-old down in their parents' basement cursing and giggling because they're getting away with it.
Should be like a crimatizer, maybe.
Yeah. But how about this? It shouldn't be anything. And this is a bad joke.
No. Stop.
He also ends up I don't know how this limo doesn't end up like killing everybody. It does look like they go right into a sign, all these things. Everybody's fine. One guy in the background, look at the guy double.
Looks like he's shooting off guns in the Wild West.
I thought he was giving the 2 glowing middle fingers for the crapatizer. And then I thought, wait, did Peter just steal some knapsack?
Why is he carrying around 2 phones too? That's such a...
That's what I'm saying. That's what got me. Who is there walking around with 2...
He's cheating on his wife.
Well, cheating on his wife or he's a drug dealer. One or the other. He's mad that there's no payphones anymore. So you end up probably doing both. Mm-hmm. So you end up where these guys are stopped, but doesn't matter. They're nobody. Then he goes, he's at work at Rand Enterprises, which I swear to God, at one point looked like a really fancy thing. John Romita Jr. thinks it's like a rundown freaking Browns.
Yeah.
It looks like crap now.
Yeah,
it looks like an old renovated school. And he's in there, and Dr. Ohm comes in and says, oh, hey, what you're doing is really cool. And what they keep saying is, again, this is why I hate when superheroes have jobs, because they never can maintain them in a proper way. I mean, Barry Allen has not shown up to the Central City Police Department in like 5 years, and he always still has a job. Peter's there, and so you have to play where Dr. Ohm goes, I'm used to the scientist being eccentric. Like, I want to be a scientist. This guy has a worse, attendance record than Eric had back in the day. But they're like, well, your work's good. I'm like, what is going on? Then she says, hey, and he goes, great, spectacular, honest, because he says, hey, I feel spectacular, honest, which is weird for me. Not the honest. I'm like, you're talking too much. And then she goes, and a little nervous. And they goes, well, the boss is there. And she goes, no, I was talking about your tent. I don't even know what they're talking about.
No.
And basically she says, you're coming into work a little more. Do it, and, the guy who just got hired a month ago, I'm going to allow you to run the whole corporation when I'm gone.
Yeah, your attendance is a little spotty, but when I'm gone, and I will be gone, you're going to be in charge.
Where's the board of directors for this Rand Industries? They're like, first up, Brian Nearing's running around with, what is he even doing? We don't even know that they have anything to do with mushrooms and fungus. And so he's just doing what he wants. Peter's making something. She then says in a very nefarious way, I'll probably be stepping out at some point and you're going to be in charge. Like, really? Like that quick, huh? Because she says, how was it did you like running your own corporation? No, I hate it. Oh, well, how about when you were on the board of things? Nah, I didn't like that either. Well, guess what? I'm going to put you in charge. And he says, well, what about Brian? There's nobody else in this place?
No,
and they walk by, and there's Brian trying to entertain everybody by pretending he's a fungus from the freaking Last of Us. And then she says, there's your answer. And there's nobody else. Nobody else working there.
I wanted to point out, we mentioned the similarity between Daredevil and this with the fungus head. It is also drawn by John Romita Jr. on the covers of the Daredevils.
Yeah, that's true.
So it looks exactly the same.
It looks exactly the same. Yeah, so there you go. And then, they just like, he doesn't get fired, but he was afraid he would. Then you end up having, the classic pasta truck.
Never seen that before in my life. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. We're more Philadelphia area. Pasta. I guess you'd have some food trucks, but I'm not eating pasta at a pasta
They're very
truck.
rare to see that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, why would you get pasta? Is such a basic bitch thing. Why would you? I'm getting like a gyro or steak sandwich or something. But you end up where he's like, oh, and then this is where like Brian starts getting sexy, talking about spankings. Oh, Ami, please. This whole issue gets very sexy. It's very odd. Then he's giving like Peter like the noogies. Suddenly looks like Clark Kent.
I was going to say that with the hair and the glasses.
He's like giving him the nuggie. Peter looks like he just saw a ghost. Doesn't want any parts of him.
He's like, dude, I'm not 13 anymore. Get off me.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I don't know what's going on in your pants, but keep away. And then all of a sudden, also, he's there with that huge drink. What is he?
Peter's been drinking a lot of soda in this. Thought that was uncharacteristic.
Maybe it's because of, the whole Queen's Cola they're going in. Or they might be trying out for TMZ. He looks like he has one of them damn big gulps. But he ends up where a limo comes in, and there's Tombstone.
Oh, great.
And it just right away, it just feels too much like Zeb Wells' run. And in case you miss it, so does Nick Lowe, who in an issue, if I was writing an issue and I'm doing my thing and then I get the proofs and I'm looking and I see an editor's note that ends up saying, read all about Gang War. First off, nobody, please don't tell anybody to read Gang War. If you end up reading this, don't. It was awful. It was terrible. Just know that Tombstone won kind of.
There was a showdown in the Central Park, I guess.
Oh my God. It was so bad. You had
weird
so
maps.
Many weird people going on. They had remember me and you so confused of like, when are these people going to do anything? We had the map, and then the next time we get the issue, the map would be totally different. We're like, we're like, where's the heat?
Miles is doing stuff, but not really.
It was so bad. So if I'm writing an issue and I read an editor's note that says, read all about it, ASM issues, it says the issues of the deal, and then says, I miss Zeb Wells. Really? Like, you're writing your run, and then you see that he misses Zeb Wells. I would go in and what he'd really be missing is about 5 teeth, because I'd punch him right in the face. I'm telling you, this book makes me very bummed.
And that he's not seeing this for like 2 or 3 months after he writes it, too, because...
And Joe Kelly probably laughs it off, whatever. I wouldn't. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I'd be
too. Like, you miss him? Well, if nobody else did. Why'd you hire me then?
Is he on anything now, Zeb Wells? Doing anything?
Maybe. I was going to say allegedly something. I don't know. I think that he was on some like one shot or something like that.
But not a steady thing.
No. Nobody cares. So he ends up where Tombstone comes in and says, and again, it's just the same. You have that back and forth with Dr. Ohm where it's like, well, nobody's going to say something straightforward. In this issue, it seems, and that's why I think it feels very padded, because then Tombstone comes in and is like, hey, your friend that we both have that knows things and might want to see this because I see that. And he's like, oh, well, my friend. I'm like, come on. I know what it is, but just hand him the thing and say, hey, tell Spider-Man what's going on here. And it's that somebody's doing some stuff in the neighborhood. And then Peter says, oh, I think that you want my friend to take care of your own business because you don't want to get your hands dirty, your pasty hands. He's like, well, whatever.
I can't remember. Does Tombstone know he's Spider-Man? I can't remember.
No, he just thinks that he's friends. Remember, he at points were grabbing Peter to get Spider-Man
beating him up and
the
stuff.
crap out of him. So he's like, oh.
It's also interesting that Tombstone knows where to drive to meet him, too. Like, just random pasta.
I think he's just riding around. Everybody's
there's Peter. I got a note for him.
Everybody's talking about the pasta truck. they all need the pasta truck. New York City, where you could get pasta every place known to man, but somebody's going to go to a freaking truck to boil water and pasta. Nonsense. So you end up where Peter now is going to stake out this place. He says later that he was hoping or wondering if it was bad intel. So he's there like this is supposed to be like late at night or whatever, but he gets there like 10 hours early just to hang. And then Black Cat shows up just so we can get flashbacks of everything that happened that day. And I'm like, none of this is interesting. None of it is really needed. We find out that Shay has a date, and Peter's like, a date? Well, yeah, we're mature now. Oh, is that what it is? Okay, that scene did nothing except make her look like a bitch.
And she tells them once they're okay with this dating other people, she tells them to tag it and bag it. Or bag it and tag it. When he's having sex with other women, I guess. Yeah,
because she says, oh, it's not like you're not seeing another woman. Because he's like, you have a date? And she's like, you're seeing another woman. He's like, what? I was like, who? And then I thought she meant Brian. But he ends up where, Black Cat.
Yeah, because he saw the silver hair. Yeah.
Really? Number one, if I'm a liar. So I'm like, really? Because that's me hugging Aunt May this morning, you bitch. That's all I would say. Because Aunt May has that crazy long old lady hair. But yeah, so it is Black Cat. And they might be banging. They did that one point, but you kind of can't tell.
They were making out and doing other stuff in this issue.
At one point, I think they did overnight. But at this point, I think that Black Cat just says stuff just to rile Peter up. Yeah. Right? Because it's like, let's do it now. And then they don't. I don't get it. Sounds like everybody's marriage. But you end up where he's staking this thing out with stupid bag. I see that backpack sitting there. But yeah, she's there. And then and again, drinking soda. He's got webbing all around. She comes in and God bless John Romita Jr., but he really drew a not so sexy Black Cat for this issue. And then she's like, Black Cat says, oh, what about the girl that you're dating? And then there's the flashback to Shay saying, oh, you're banging this lady with silver hair. And that does nothing. And then she says, bag it. And we get a lot of, that's coffee this time. And I love where Peter is not listening again. And this whole play was, remember, it was that she had ditched him because he really wasn't committed or listening or doing anything. It was always not showing up. And now he's not listening again. She's making up stuff. And yeah, he's like, oh, I have this friend that, from before who needs some help, and he's a bad guy because it's Tombstone. But I just
noticed now that John Romita Jr. drew a cup in pretty much every panel of this freaking comic. There's coffee cups everywhere, and they're clinking coffee cups together, which I've never seen that done.
Who does that? Also, that's what happens when you do it. You spill coffee
it gets all over his face.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Also, Peter has coffee on his face, but also every other panel of Peter, he's just like aghast. He's always surprised, always looking like like that. But yeah, he got coffee on his face. It's so weird. Clinking cup. Then you have what I think is supposed to be the joke of, oh, we have a stakeout, so we have to eat tons of food. I don't even know what Black Cat's eating there. Looks like nachos or something.
Yeah, it's weird too because he can look out the window there. There's a little opening. But he also has a little screen that he's looking at.
It's like a little fort. And she's eating potato chips or something, but it looks like it actually looks like a piece of pizza.
She's in a web hammock.
Bag it and tag it. I like to have a good night, playa. That's what Shay said at the end. I'm like, get out of town. But yeah, and then they're there. Black Cat just says, oh, I'm done with the chips. You want to fool around? And then Peter's like, oh, well, I'm not really exclusive. Okay, well, stop talking. Start banging. But you end up where they're there, and then it's like, oh, well, what were you doing before that? Oh, now let's go back to Feast earlier.
Great.
And yeah, Peter's helping Aunt May, always with boxes and unboxing.
She's always handing him stuff.
Yeah, always just, I think they just shuffle shit around. I don't think they ever do anything. They're just shuffling stuff around.
And she told him he has to put the paper to the left of the printer. That was actually printed in this thing. A specific direction on where to put the box.
I'm telling you, right there. I know. I get so hot. I'd leave.
You're not putting up with that. No chance.
No, I'm like, get out of here. So she's doing that. Also, at one point, John Romita Jr. does draw her, Aunt May at times where she does look like she's got whiskers. But then at one point, definitely has Thanos' chin. So she might snap. But you end up where she's there, and then all of a sudden, this Ricardo guy comes in. I called it. Ricardo and Aunt May are banging.
Yep.
And, I mean, why isn't Peter realizing this or saying anything or whatever? And I love, I actually like Ricardo. You wanted to have somebody, likable, unlike Paul or Brian. you have them talk shit on people, because when you end up, Peter's like, hey, I don't think we met. He goes, oh, we met when you were high as crap to an issue ago. And he's like, oh, crap. Yeah, and then Aunt May goes, I told you not to mention that. So they're definitely banging, right?
Yeah.
Cool. He looks like Robbie Robertson with an Amish/Abe Lincoln beard.
Was Ricky here? Or he doesn't like to be called Ricky, but Ricardo, was he one of the guys, the 4 people that died in that?
Yeah, he was one of the guys who he brought back.
8 deaths or whatever?
Yeah, it was Shay.
And then a rando. He was the rando, right?
Yeah, he was the rando guy. And I said right away when he woke up and he said something to Aunt May, I'm like, they're banging.
Yep.
So then in the now, they're just wait. And then suddenly, the thing is, we don't know what they're waiting for. They say that some people are doing some bad things in the neighborhood, but we don't know what it is. So they see some guys and they're like, oh, that must be them. They kind of look like small nothing. And they're like, well, they are hangers. They're nothing. They're just henchmen. And then all of a sudden, a Queen's Cola truck pulls up. Now, in that seems to just be for a segue so that we could go. And for some reason, Norman has a 10-foot stick up his ass about this cola and Roger Kingsley. And he wants to bring him down, but says he can't. But yet they're still riding around in Queen's Cola trucks.
It's an emergency board meeting on this, it looks like, or something. I don't know. All hands on deck staff meeting.
I mean, this is like, how much money is he paying to do nothing? And he says, it's the distance between the cola and Kingsley. I want you to lessen the distance. We're going to bring him down. This is going to be great. And then Peter's just hanging outside the window.
That is one of the worst drawn Spider-Man I've ever seen. Right there. In that window there where he's crouched down.
There's another one I saw, but that's pretty bad. First off, it looks like his feet are like hands that they're like gripping the deal. It also looks like he might be taking a dump.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Or he already did and it's kind of just sitting there.
Yeah. It's
his torso is way too long.
Bad. It's really bad. There's another one that he's like really like non-existent in the background.
Because then you turn the page and it looks fine. It's cool. Like it's normal Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's there just hanging. And he went to see Norman to do nothing. And then this is the thing, too. This is how little has happened in this run, because really what we've gotten is the cola scheme of the century that made no sense. But also, remember, John Romita Jr., he's going to reintroduce some things that they had in that first issue in the backups. One was an assassin that tried to kill Norman. I forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the guy who got all cybernetic, and he's like, you goblin killed my wife and kids, something like that, and ended up kind of sick. And then Norman, in one of the worst optics ever for somebody who's supposed to be redeeming himself, ends up, you come to my house and beat the guy almost to death.
Yeah, his camera turned into a gun, right? Or his boom mic
Remember,
or something?
It was like all that. He snuck in with the press. So Norman says, and Peter says, how's the other thing going? Well, first off, I would assume that what Norman should be saying is, oh, you mean that guy that if he dies, I might have to go to trial for murder? Because I know it could be self-defense, but you still really beat the crap out of that guy. But he says, my would-be assassin's still in a coma. And I forgot it was him who put him in it. But yeah, the guy was saying, it was nothing. I forgot all about it. But he says, untraceable weaponry, scrubbed identity. He yelled out that you did something. There has to be something they could find with that, but it's just nothing for now, because I guess that's going to be for later. I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Also, is Norman, at one point I thought that he was drinking like a Guinness. At one point I thought he had a glass, but is that just wine he's drinking? What a fancy guy.
That's pretty nice.
We'll get him, Norman. I promise. Of course you do, he says. And then he says, have to jet, time-sensitive spider biz. Careful around all those lawyers. They bite. Ha! So do I. I'm like, what is happening? Nothing is going on. Like, again, what just happened was you have a flashback to have Norman say, yep, my lawyers are trying to get Kingsley. Oh, really? What about that assassin? We don't know anything about that. All right, well, maybe we will. See you later. We did nothing. We did nothing except remind everybody that, and the only reason that cola truck was to get to there. So you're just doing nothing. This whole issue is a nothing burger, as they say. Because then at the end, you have all these people gathering in the Queen's Cola, and then Black Cat says, hey, do you want to go down and kick some ass? And he says, yes. And then all of a sudden, Hellgate's behind him from that first issue where he traveled from Arizona, I think it was, where they, opened up his tomb where that guy got... Remember that one conspiracy theory guy?
Yeah.
And he, got all under the sand and shit. And there you go. You have to see this guy walk across the U.S. Look at him. I'm not picking up on that guy. He's got crazy shoulder pads.
He's got some round shoulders. Axes. This guy. Yeah. Look
at those axes.
They're very small.
Don't even look like they do anything. And that they have a crazy on the other end. Looks like he's prying shit open or something like that. Probably cola, no doubt. But there he is, Hellgate. And he says, and the way that we have it, I don't know how they'll have it in the regular issue, but you got to turn shit sideways. So I'm turning my head, and he's like, I can't even see what it says. Honored Prince of the...
It doesn't make any sense. That's why you don't remember it.
I think the gate stands open for you. So is it that that doesn't seem very threatening? That almost feels like he's like, hey,
it's
here
like he's
for
a god or something.
Yeah, or he's recognizing him as somebody.
They're allies, maybe.
Maybe he sees Black Cat and he's turned on. She unzips that thing a little more. Maybe when it's not John Romita Jr. drawing him. But again, when you have this, I don't know. It just doesn't seem very exciting. It just seems ridiculous.
I think the Hell's Gate, whatever his name is, has potential to be cool, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of Paul and his dad, rapping.
I'm sure it's
stuff
nonsense.
Like that.
Yeah,
it'll be just ridiculous. I don't know. It also gives me a little 8 Deaths of Spider-Man feel as well for some reason. But with that, that's the end. And that's this next issue, Hellgate. I guess everybody else is getting away in the Queen's Cola trucks. They're going to zip off.
Was he hiding in the truck or something?
I don't know. I think he just showed up.
Out of nowhere and they just got away?
He's behind because...
He has nothing to do with the Cola people?
No, I don't think so. I think that he just came up from behind. I don't know. The guy walked from Arizona and leaped up on the building. Peter got his spidey sense.
He's 15 feet tall.
Yeah. Earlier, you ended up having him say, well, I have spider sense this, just so you can see that. It means something.
Sneak up on me.
Yeah. Why? But there's Hell's Gate. And I do like where Norman is he's just there drinking wine, hiring lawyers to take down Roderick and looking on his computer. And Peter's put his hand on his shoulder. We'll get him, buddy.
I love those guys that drink wine in their office.
By himself. Look at him. Look at him drinking wine in his office. He's taking it to work with him. Again, they're like, I don't think you should be, drinking on the job. And he's like, it's either this or goblin shit. So, deal with the drinking is what he would say. But, even that, you have these guys, they even look concerned because all of a sudden another truck pulled up. And the guy, looked over and looked upset, didn't he? And then all of a sudden Hellgate was there. I don't know. And that also looks like it might be Kareem. Our guy Kareem.
I was going to say that too, the guy with the tattattoo on his head.
Yeah, he's got that bullseye weird thing on his head, but this is from the back, but it might be him.
It's got to be him.
Kareem, it's funny, not with Black Cat, but it's usually with White Rabbit, so maybe she's involved.
So you see Kareem there, right? Now, why did he draw that head that's in the car? Or is that a reflection of that guy?
One is a reflection. The other one is a weird deal, but I think it's a reflection. But that other guy next to him... What was the point?
Just leave it off.
If that's Kareem, the guy next to him's like Johnny Shortface.
Yeah.
Look at the guy. He's got a caveman look.
I wouldn't even bother with a reflection there. If you're not going to do it properly.
Yeah, really, look at this deal. He's checking out his look in there with his Macklemore haircut. And you have also you want to make it so it's inconspicuous. Don't get guys in riot gear and Uzis. This is weird. All of this was nothing. Nothing really happened in this issue that we could tell because either we didn't know what they were going for or it ended up where Hellgate shows up. So we don't get it. And it just was weird. But what would you give this?
Oh my God. 4.5.
Yeah, I think I'm a 4.
Yeah, I figured.
The art's not great. I know that people like to pile on John Romita Jr. Me and you like him, but this definitely was not his best.
No, I'm not going to pile on him, but this is...
It wasn't great.
No.
Norman even looked everything looked rushed. There, one panel, you said it, one panel looked good, and then 3 will look bad, and then another one will look good, 3 will look bad.
Yeah, his profile open mouth shots are kind of throwing me off. I don't like it. It's
go to the Oscorp board meeting. What's up with Norman's shoulders?
They're like straight up in the air.
Oh
right?
my God! What, does he have shoulder pads on? He looks ridiculous.
Maybe he's he was an executive in the 80s, so maybe he had shoulder pads. Throw them back on.
Yeah, or he's got like a rickets or something.
Scoliosis.
He's got scoliosis. He needs a brace. Maybe it's that crazy hair. It's been weighing him down.
He's got to do the shoulder press, to get his whatever that neck muscle's bigger.
It's the problem is he was doing shrugs and then he froze. He's like mid shrug.
Yeah, he's doing the opposite shrug.
Oh yeah. That's workout talk.
Well, I figured you're back in the gym.
Yeah,
so.
I am. I'm back at the gym. I went to the gym twice today.
2-a-days, they call it.
I think I broke my toe. Dropped the weight on my stupid toe. I had it on the bench. I actually was doing like upright rows type deal, and I put it down, went to tie my shoe, and the freaking thing rolled off and boom, right on my toe.
Ouch.
It hurt. It hurt too. And then I was upset because it was I went to Planet Fitness, and you're not allowed to throw weights around. They hit a lot. I thought they were going to do something because I thought they thought I threw it around. I was hopping around. I was having problems.
If it's accidental, I think,
I would hope. And then I'm like, I'm going to sue.
Was anybody wearing Timberland boots and shorts and carrying around a jug of water bottle?
They won't allow it. They won't? I'll take a picture tomorrow. They have a big thing that gives you the rules, and that's exactly the rule. You're not allowed to have boots. You're not allowed to drink out of a gallon thing.
Yeah,
those igloo freaking things. Like none of that. No, you're not even allowed to wear like a thin, I forget what they call them now, like those tank tops, but it's like just string almost that they tie. That's nonsense.
But no restrictions on the women's outfits, though, right?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
There was I ended up where I just joined, so I had to get my picture taken today. I didn't like that.
Yeah, don't do that.
It was okay. I actually went at a time where I thought nobody would be there. It was pretty jam packed, so I got to figure out when I can go. I don't like the crowds, so. But that's that. That is it for me and you. 4 and a 4.5. Not a good start, but me and Gray are going to talk about possibly. I don't know. I can check right now. I sent him a message that I wanted to. Me and him have been talking about the what's called Moon Knight, which I've actually enjoyed getting back into. I think we'll be doing that. But I also said that maybe we'll do Jeff. And then I just looked. I put Moon Knight and Jeff on Wednesday, and he goes, "Sounds good, Jeff."
Yeah, Jeff the Lamb Shark, dude.
I'm going to tell him. And
what about Gwenpool number 2? I know you did the first one.
We did. The thing is, because he's in Japan, when we go to record, it's a little later. I'll probably ask him to do that as well. I didn't love the first issue at all.
Yeah, I know. You could probably drop that one.
I do like the character, but it's not really well done. People hate the character.
And too bad Zach's not around. He could do Aliens versus Avengers. That's back out.
Yeah. Or too bad it's not Predator. Gabe's yeah. And also the big funny thing is I'll put Jeff the Land Shark, and there is one big fan of Jeff the Land Shark that we all know and love. That would be Sully, who loves Jeff the Land Shark.
I know he does
everything Jeff the Land Shark, but he has things going on too. He's being our schedules don't really match up is the problem. But what happened is me and him were recording some things, and I yap too long. Is basically what I hear, is that he doesn't have that much time. So.
Yeah, he's like, we talk for an hour and a half, and then we got to talk for another hour and a half.
Yeah, so don't do that. So he's done, but he has his stuff that he has to do first. I understand. But with that, we're done. We're going to go off to me and Gray, possibly talking Jeff the Land Shark. I have to remember so I can give him some crap that he didn't know Jeff the Land Shark. I like that he said sounds good, and then says Jeff. Like, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, he's doing
He's down for anything.
But he does not, Jeff. To clown, maybe. I got to continue the talk from this thing. I feel weird tonight. I'm very goofy. I was actually really pissed off before we started, so it was a little better being a little goofy. But
good.
I did take my medicine right before. I forgot to take it.
It's kicking in.
I took it late. So there you go. I'll be up all night. I'll be up all night bitching and moaning to myself. Why did I take it? But That is that. So we'll go off to me and Gray talking definitely Moon Knight, maybe Jeff the Lancer. And we will continue on with Gray. What up, Gray?
Oh, we will we? How you doing, Jim? Are you Yankee?
I never know. I think at the point I'm not Yankee, but
how's your toe? That's what I want to know.
It hurts. It's broken.
Sorry.
It's that I said. Do you call it the index toe? I've never actually heard somebody say like, oh, my index toe. I hear pinky toe and
there's
big
only
toe.
big toe and little toe.
Big toe and little
British
toe.
English, Jim. It's little toe.
In between, I broke my.
You could take your pinky and stick it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, really. I don't even know what happened. A weight. Well, I know what happened. A weight rolled off of this bench and then landed on my foot, but it seems like the brunt of it went on my index toe, and boy, the thing it's bad. It's really bad.
That'll serve you right for working out, trying to get fit.
Yeah, really. That's what happens. So I just end up where I'm laying in bed, and it's just it's not even just throbbing. It feels like in those cartoons when you have it throbbing so much it's like huge, and you see it just pulsating.
I love those. So yeah, the Looney Tune cartoons.
Oh, yeah. So
brilliant.
Like, I went to bed early last night, but when I woke up this morning, I'm like, why am I so tired? Realized I really didn't sleep that much. I kept waking up. I kept getting upset about it. And for the most part, I can't really take like Advil, and I haven't gone and gotten any sort of Tylenol or whatnot, let alone go to the doctor. I was told by my wife that you don't go to the doctor. They can't do anything. Tape it to your other toe. And that's what she said. So I did that. Then here I am. And here we are. And I say we are actually with you because while I was messaging you about what books we would do, that's while we were recording. So I end up at the end saying, I don't know. You didn't seem to understand what I meant by Jeff. Then you understood and you wish you didn't. So we'll be doing that.
I thought you were like talking to Sully. You emailed me by mistake instead of Sully because he was a big fan of Jeff, isn't he?
Me and you are going to go through this, Jeff, and believe me, we ain't talking about it again. And when we get to it, I'll tell you, why wasn't it just make it a silent issue, one shot with Jeff, almost like Pizza Dog, whatnot. But boy, what a hoot that thing is. I don't even know if Sully will like it. But we're going to start with a book that we've enjoyed. And again, I'm making you read, Jeff, you're making me read Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu. I think that you are a better person because that Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu is better.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better than Jeff, Jim. But that's not saying much, is it?
I'm going to go through these credits, and then we'll read the recap, and then I'll talk about a thing that I talked about last time that we talked about this book. But it is Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu number 5 or number 9. Oh my goodness, it's like
number 9.
Oh gosh, one of our least favorite. Nobody likes that song, right?
No,
it's the worst.
Nobody. Even George Martin hated it.
Yeah, and Paul hated it too, but it was nice. Written by Jed McKay, art by Devmalya Pramanik, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Petit. I end up where I don't want to be hateful or anything, but I don't know why I think of prom a lot when I saw that name, and then I started singing Mighty Python. But you end up here with Clinical Trial.
It's a very silly place.
The Moon Knight is at war, it says. A rising criminal kingpin named Achilles Fairchild.
Come on, Jim. It's your favorite villain's name.
I like that name, but I hate it. It's not like it just ends up sounding
Achilles
so fancy.
Fairchild.
Achilles Fairchild has flooded the streets of New York with a new, highly addictive narcotic called glitter, and also the movie Glitter with what's her name in it? I can't even remember.
Just don't mention Gary. You'll be all right.
No,
Cancelled.
Gary, if you end up, distributing Gary Glitter, you can watch your kids and your wife, hide your kids and wife. Included on this payroll is Detective Frazier. I'm telling you, I'm already getting goofy telling you. Nursing her own addiction to glitter, who turned the police against Moon Knight and his allies. After a series of devastating losses, Moon Knight is starting to turn the tides, capturing Frazier and recruiting Fairchild's most trusted Lieutenant Carver. But before Moon Knight can cut off the glitter supply for good, he has to make sure he can help its addicts who will die without it. Now, number one, Mariah Carey was the one who starred in Glitter that I couldn't remember a second ago, but also I don't know. The whole idea of this is fine. It just doesn't feel that big. It doesn't feel as big as what they want you to feel it. And I just don't know. This glitter and this Achilles Fairchild, Carver, Frazier, all these things just swirl around in a deal. And I think that what happens in this issue, that I don't love is you do have it very personal for Mark in a forced way, but you miss out on the side characters. And I think that the side characters are the things that I am actually more interested at this point than actually
That's
Mark.
when it got more interesting, this issue, isn't it? When they came into it, I found that, yeah, it's not as good as it has been during the last few issues. I get you. I'm there with you. It's a little bit of a transitional issue, isn't it? I would say.
I think that what happens, and again, people might disagree. That's fine. I'm done yelling at people. Maybe.
Never.
The play with Jed MacKay, and I think, again, Jed MacKay was the hot ticket at one point. They wanted every book to be Jed MacKay. Obviously, Moon Knight is the reason why everybody was enjoying it. And I think that the people still would enjoy it, though not as much hype. I remember when Moon Knight would come out, it reminded me a lot of the beginnings of Downey Cates' Venom. And maybe even Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. But Hulk, I think, is a little bigger. But when Venom was coming out in Donny Cates, the rise in popularity, the groundswell of people talking and getting it, word of mouth.
You could see that happening in real time, couldn't you? Yeah, I remember. Jim, back in those days, we didn't even know each other yet, but I remember, I've seen your reviews since. It's like you were really into it. I was too.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. And that was when we first started the Marvel podcast. And what got me, and what I think gets people with this book, and, is that you have these big books that you want to love. When we started the Marvel podcast, I wanted to read, and we started it basically because I wanted to read more Marvel, and why not then do a podcast? That was pretty much my deal. But we spent like a year before that where we would just read, me, my man Brandon, and Eric. And so we would have these like things. Hey, what are we reading this week? And we'd talk a little bit about it, but we prepared for a while. And I wasn't loving all the stuff up to the Fresh Start. But when Fresh Start started, I wanted to read Spider-Man. They didn't have a Fantastic Four book at that point, but Doctor Strange, Thor, all these books that I always wanted to read, and this was giving me the opportunity. And yet, suddenly, Venom was my favorite book. That and some other weird ones. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil was actually up there as well, but one of the ones I really did enjoy as well was Chip Zdarsky's Invaders. And it was weird, like, why am I loving these smaller books and not the big books? Well, I think that Moon Knight's the same kind of deal, where you have a lot of the bigger books are kind of not great, but you have this Moon Knight that, oh my God, it's so it gets elevated almost because it shouldn't be as big, right?
Jim, would you say, is he more like, do you class him as a street level hero? Because it's a very street level story, isn't it? As you say,
even
the
though
drug
he is
thing.
Cosmic, but it's more street level. Yeah. It's definitely street level. And
that's how I think of him, especially his origin, when he first started. I've gone back, I've read like the early issues. It's like he was very kind of the streets kind of guy until it got very, Egyptian mythology and all that.
And still with the Midnight Mission, it really works out. It almost, to me, at points, again, I'm not the biggest Moon Knight fan. I haven't read a ton, but it does feel at points he's like a bit more cosmic Daredevil. Like you got Hell's Kitchen with Daredevil, you got the Midnight Mission here. And I don't mind it, but I do like Jed MacKay when he has a team of quirky characters. I don't think it works as well in the Avengers with these big characters. I don't think it worked in his event, Blood Hunt, and I don't really like his X-Men book, but I do still like this. And I'm telling you, I love this Black Cat book until they just kept making it come back for no reasons but to tie into stuff. But in the meantime, I think he still has the deal with these quirky characters, and with 8-Ball and Tigress, all these are really cool characters that I like. I even actually do like Reese. Soldier's kind of generic, but I don't mind. And Vader, Hunter's Moon, I like enough as well. They
say Harvest Moon.
Me.
Do you remember Harvest Moon?
Yeah. No. They've grown on me a bit, but in this issue, though, I think that what's happening and what happens with me with this whole Moon Knight is, there's cool moments. We had the one issue when, they go to Hank and try to, do that kidnapping heist deal to kind of draw Hank Pym out was great. Like that was awesome. But I think really as you get towards the ending of when they're going to face off against the big villain, you realize that there's not much there. He's not good at making villains. He's not good at the whole concept of the villain and all that. That's why I think that he's better in these quirky deals, because the quirky deals, you can have fun and kind of make up your own stakes, things like that, like that 8-Ball issue, but also like he did with Black Cat. there were some big things, but it was more about the team and more about things like that. So we're getting closer and closer to this whole Achilles Fairchild glitter, all the and so like you
Jim,
realize
a big part
it's
for
not
this,
that interesting.
For me, a big part of this book is the art by, is it Dev Let me double check it. Dev Pramanik. Yeah, Dev Malia Pramanik. And it's awesome again. You know, it's absolutely, I think it's one of the best looking Marvel books out there. What would you say? Do you agree?
It's good. I do like it. And when you start it out, you do end up seeing, and it's going to jump back in time and forward, so whatever. And in the now, you get the bunker chained up. You don't really know what's going on. You find out later that that's Mark in there.
Somebody banging away inside there. You know, get me out.
And he says, there's somebody in here with me. Oh, my God. And we realize later that it's pretty much, you know, not cold turkey because he does take an antidote, but he's going to end up where he's going to take glitter just to end up using this antidote. But
he wants to try the cure, see if the cure actually works, which Hank Pym has developed. The only problem is he's developed a very tiny amount, hasn't he?
Yeah, tiny amount. And Mark's like, I'm just going to use it on myself. I get it. I get what's going on. And I get that Mark, he's going to take it on himself. But there's a lot of page space going on with the description of this cure. What it is. Oh my God, we have to test it. I'm going to test it. And it just, by the end. I got to admit,
this lost me a bit. Hank Pym's description, I was kind of like, where, what now?
Yeah, what's going on, it's even repeated later.
Kerbins of Mysterium.
Oh my God, yeah. And it makes it feel like he's trying to be too fancy. This is what I think happened in the Avengers book before I dropped it. People are still reading it, whatever. But you're just saying stuff. You just need, I mean, legit, I kind of just need Hank to say, I found the cure. Here it is. We don't have a lot. And it takes 3-4 pages to just get that. He's like, hey, it's a metamaterial created by the mutants from ultra compressed Kerbins. And even the best is
the Kerbins, remember them?
That Mark goes, right, sure. And then he's like, what? And basically it is the idea of glitter. Well, we need something that's anti-magic, because even when he's talking about glitter, he goes through this deal with like, come on, talk down to us. I don't need you to be fancy just to tell us that you made an antidote. That's why he went to you. That's what you're doing. And I get that maybe it's like real fancy. So that gives you that idea. Oh, there's not a lot of this, but you just have to say that. But he says, here's a cure for glitter addiction. And Mark says, I need more. And he's like, well, you know, we don't have a ton. But in the meantime, what little we have, Mark's going to test on himself, because then they go back at the Midnight Mission and they're talking. I do like the cane that 8-Ball has. Very fancy. He's putting on the Ritz over there. But you end up where he's going, hey, how long do you have to take it before you get addicted? What's even that? I love the idea that they're going after and like, we got to stop this glitter. And Mark has not one clue about any of it. He's like, how long do you have to take it there, Hunter's Moon? You're the doctor. How long do you have to take it before you get addicted? Hunter's Moon goes, immediately. Okay, that's good. It just ends up like very, to me, it's like a lot of lip service to get where you're going to go. I actually thought it would have been more of a play where if Mark didn't know and he went and just did it himself. Instead, it's like going to be this test deal. He's going to be locked in the deal. Almost like I said, it does feel like, you know, the H and you're going to go cold turkey. But he says, I need to do this cure myself because I have to check to see if it doesn't kill people, if it works, whatever. I don't know. I'm telling you, I might be a jerk, and I'm not any guy who ever did a lot of drugs at all, like pretty much none.
Just say no, Jim.
Exactly. So when they're like, well, maybe we should test it on Frasier. I can't do it. It could kill her. Here's the thing here, Mark. If this cure does not work, say it does kill, say they get you, Gray, you're on the glitter, and what are you gonna do anyway? Because your plan is still to stop the glitter, and that's going to happen in a couple of weeks, and that will kill everybody.
That will kill me. That's the problem with it. That's the dangerous thing about this. You know, it's so deadly, Jim, that when you go cold turkey, it will kill you.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? Plus, I hope that if you're going to go through this much detail, Mark taking it after just pretty much taking glitter once, the withdrawal that he goes through, even with the antidote, is horrendous. What are they going to do to help these thousands upon thousands of people when this happens? I mean, you can't just distribute the cure. And then I think that you're going to have this weird play where they're going to set up some huge thing, but I don't think that it's possible. I don't think they have the resources to set up maybe what is going to happen. Maybe it'd be funny. They send them off to like a pocket dimension to go, and I don't know, because Mark goes nuts.
My favorite part, Jim, is when I'm terrible with the character names. Greer, is she called Tigress? No, Tigress. So when she goes, okay, make 8-Ball do it, and look at 8-Ball's reaction in the background. He grabs his cane. He's like, what? Dude,
yeah, I love the idea.
He's starting to ban it.
Yeah. He's
don't
like,
give
what
it me.
the hell? Like, he's like, no way. And then she just says, and again, I think that what this issue is, it's more of I hate to say it feels like hey, look at me type thing. It almost, not a soapbox, but almost like it, of, okay, drugs suck, and you got to think of this, and there's Mark, and it felt a bit heavy-handed.
I think Jed
me.
McKay, yeah, it is heavy-handed, but maybe he's trying to make out, maybe it wasn't clear how dangerous his stuff is, and like you've said before, it's not really, it doesn't feel big, but so it's okay, he's going to spend an issue, which is a bit slow. He does that,
but yeah, it's very slow.
It's slow.
And there's parts where, hey, make 8-Ball do it. 8-Ball could die. You could die. I'm a fist of Khonshu, Greer. Well, you could tell me they don't die, but you already died, and you died of the died. And then he takes off his mask and says, I'm doing it because that's what I'm for. I'm like,
and then she's like, why does it always have to be you that takes the hit? And I felt a little bit emotional there, Jim.
I'm telling you, when he goes, because that's what I'm for, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a miserable prick, but I end up like, yeah, it seemed forced. But
maybe
then we see that
your toe is putting you off.
Exactly. We see in the now it is him just going nuts in there, and now he's going to have hallucinations, and it's just going to be all the villains that he dealt with. And again, when you go through them, I'm like, yep, they weren't all great, were they? I end up where I'm like, yeah, there's even Zodiac, which wasn't even his creation, was probably one of the better ones, but he's there and he's going through it in his mind. Though all the stuff of him getting told of the mind, but also mainly Zodiac basically saying, listen, you haven't been to your therapy lately. And I said, yeah, thank God, because that was boring as shit. But the end up where he says, you love it. You love the pain. You love the thing. You look for hurt. And this is why you gather people around you, because eventually you need to just be a dick and leave and make this pain. It's okay. Again, it's just there, but I end up where it just didn't hit with me. I felt like it was a bit heavy-handed. It does, like you said, though, it does kind of bring a lot to the forefront. It does recap some things, get you ready for this big push. But when you're on legit, he's having an epiphany that maybe he comes out and he's like, I don't know, that glitter is pretty cool. Like, it made me think a lot of things. Like, this is where all of a sudden he's going to go write Sergeant Pepper's or something. But you end up seeing all the faces and basically saying that Mark sets up his own misery. And then he comes to, and there's Hunter's Moon Bader, who's there with him strapped down to a bed, though it doesn't look like he's strapped down that great. The way he jumps up is very odd.
Those straps weren't very tight, were they, Jim?
And they're not tight, and they're in a weird position that when he jumps up, it looks like he could just see. He doesn't have to be Houdini to get out of this one, but he ends up where he seems to be cured. And so you went through all of that. We're almost done. And then when he pops up, you have Bader just look at his eyes and goes, yep, he's cured. He's clean. And he's like, oh, thank God.
Do you feel any urge for glitter? He's like, God, no. I saw things, Jim.
And so, again, I know people who have had some really bad problems with some drugs, like, meth and heroin and even, stuff like fentanyl. Like, when you go through that withdrawal deal and you pop out, that's not the great, like, yeah, you're going to want it, but tell me a week later, when you're downtown and you see somebody get it, then tell me if you feel the urge for glitter anymore. Right now, you just went through a lot of shit. Like, you know what I mean? That it's just too fast for me after all that. But hey, you do it. But the big thing is, he's like, I saw things. I want to tell you about them, Hunter's Moon. He's like, I don't need to hear them. Those are your visions. Like,
this reminds me of Morpheus in The Matrix. Whatever you saw was for you alone.
And I want Mark to say, no, I kind of want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. I got problems here. Though, again, I think that he needs to go back to his therapist to talk about the stuff, because those visions were more of, I'm a dick. I think he wanted to talk to Bader and say, listen, do you feel like you do this because you want pain and hurt and whatever? I think it would be better to talk about it than keep it to yourself. But he ends up where he goes to the, what's her name? Frasier.
And
it's like, hey, Frasier, what's up? And she's like, you got the stuff?
You got my glitter?
In this might be me. Do they start talking like really like street here a bit, like drug street talk? Because you end up where it didn't sound like Mark suddenly. One of the other things I did like in the vision, though, is when you do end up having Zodiac, I believe it was, during saying, you don't have any other person. You're here by yourself. You're alone here doing this, cure deal. And you can't rely on those other people. You can't run from this. I thought that was pretty good.
This is all you, baby.
Yeah, when he goes in and she's like, you got my glitter? It's like, better. I'm like, what's this? And like, we cooked up. Just the idea that he starts talking in terminology that I don't feel was him. Like, he should have just said, that's the antidote that we made. But he's like, we cooked it up in the crock pot. Cricket. He ends up saying, Agent to Glitter, congratulations, detective. You can kick if you want. Then, suppose I don't want to kick.
She's like, suppose I don't want to, Jim. Like, maybe I want to stay.
Why are you talking street? Why don't you say you can stay on the glitter? It's up
Give
to
me
you.
more glitter and shut up, Mark.
Now it's, exactly. Now it's like Tribe Called Quest. They're going to start, can you kick it? They're going to start rapping.
Well, to be fair, he says, like, I'm not going to force you, but I've spent the last 2 weeks setting up my dominoes. I was like, really?
And this is what I'm saying. This is the talk. Hey, what's this? We cooked up an antagonist, Agent of Glitter. Congratulations, detective. You can kick if you want it. And then she goes, suppose I don't want to kick. And then he goes, that's your lookout. I'm like, what are they saying here? What happened? What is this? Suddenly The Wire?
It is.
And then he goes, I can't force you, but I've spent the last 2 weeks setting up my dominoes.
Where's Idris Elba?
What is happening?
Come on, man.
Yeah, what is happening here? And it says, and when I knock the first one over, there's not going to be any glitter left by the third week. I'm like, what is happening here? And then says, I'm not going to lie. It's not fun. And then she goes, how do you know? How do you know it works? Because you'll be the second person to try it. I was the first. I'm like,
I was the first,
and
baby.
Scene. I want them to be like, all right. Now somebody's face gets blown up.
I'm just distracted by how good the art is on these last few pages.
Yeah, the art is real good.
Come
but
on,
I'm telling
Jim,
you, it became The Wire. I just,
It did.
And then, like,
he goes, I flipped Carver. I beat a magic sword. I got a cure for glitter addiction. That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
It looks great, too.
Moon Knight in The Wire. What's going on, Jim?
It is.
I don't even know this.
Moon Knight The Wire is what we need now. I need it right now. Oh, yeah. I'm heading down to the park. You end up where then you see Achilles and trying to call Carver. Hey, Carver, I don't like leaving voicemails. Let's go. Wait a minute. It was a weird play. I didn't know what was going on at first, where he's like, he really likes to talk out loud. Like, what's going on here? Wait, no way. Mr. Knight.
No way, dude.
Child. And again, here's the thing. Here's the villain. Look at this guy. Like, he's there. He's just a bro. He's there just hulking out. Hopefully he drops a weight on his toe. But yeah,
maybe
he's like,
he
Mr.
will.
Knight, Fairchild. I ain't heard from you since I laid that beating on you, boy. Made me worry you forgot all about me. Hurt my feelings. Actually, if you want to go anything with it, for some reason right now, reminds me of Negan from Walking Dead, that he's just a goofball and I can't take him seriously. But he's
really?
Like, yeah, and he's like, look out the window towards Jersey. Again, with all this stuff going on, the big play is look outside towards New Jersey. Like right away, you look over, you see some fires, right? But
you see Jim's house on fire.
That's just New Jersey. I mean, first off, I would say that, Fairchild should be like, listen, I don't like looking over to that cesspool, New Jersey, unless I have to, but I will. And he looks out and he's like, you'll see your work at your distro set. And I'm like, all right, he's burning things down. Then boom, we're on our way, Fairchild. Expect us. And then you have, all of them going. I like that 8-Ball's like kind of hidden there, but yeah, you have soldiers. Actually, I don't even see him. Actually, I thought that might be the back end of that bazooka. Where is 8-Ball? You end up having
It is. You're right, Jim. That's a great image. Is that Soldier again?
Yeah,
I'm still
Soldier.
not down on all the character names.
Character, like it's just another. Reese is the deal, and then Soldier kind of gets piggybacked on. But yeah, they're on their way. They're on their way to take down Bro Fairchild. Hopefully, they don't do it by setting off sprinklers with holy water, like they took down that Ponzi vampire scheme. But at the end, you do see a lot of crazy people in the background, next month. So we'll see how it is. It's okay. It just felt like one
it's
of those
not as good as the last couple.
Like, yeah.
It's a bit of an interim, isn't it, issue? And it's they spend a lot of time, as you say, with in doing the whole cold turkey thing. But still, Jim, I just think maybe I'm being distracted by the art. It looks glorious to me.
Yeah, you love the art. So you're
big fan of Dev Pramanik's
I like
art,
it.
yeah.
I like the art, but I'm more of a story guy. And just not much here that isn't feeling forced. I did like The Wire, though.
The Wire bit, though, that's let's just put it up half a point.
So that might have, that might have actually raised mine score as well. But I'm reading, I'm like, who is this guy? The Hank Pym stuff, though, too long. Then even that stuff with the Wire stuff, like there's weird parts that you didn't really need. And then in the meantime, it is just Mark seeing some inner demons but it's nothing that you're going to be wowed by. I don't think it's, makes sense. It's cool. But in the meantime, what would you give it?
Maybe the story, as you say, the story won't wow you, but for me, the art would. And again, I'm tempted to pick up a physical issue. I'm going to go, let's see, 7.5 out of 10.
I'm a 6.
Okay.
6. The art is pretty good, so I do like that. But the story itself and this Achilles Fairchild and Carver.
Come on, it's your new favorite villain.
I'm just like, I don't really care too much about any of these characters, but I do like the team, and I like that.
Jim, listen to this. This is just off one of the League of Comic Book Geeks reviews. It's not the review I'm reading. It's just a bit of information. It says next month, so that'll be issue 10 of this, Fist of Khonshu, it will have been, Jed McKay will have been on Moon Knight for 50 issues, if you don't count tie-ins and annuals, which makes him exactly 20% right in Moon Knight's solo career.
Yeah, because there wasn't a ton of it. So
no, there wasn't.
Some of these, though, with the
it's Legacy 249
coming, it just wasn't great, but... Yeah, so there he is. He's writing a bunch. And it seems like it'll keep going for the, near future, but we'll see.
Because you jumped back on board with that classic 8-ball issue. That was a cracker. That's why. So since then, like the two after that haven't been as good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just, I wonder what other stupid villain's going to be next. I say that probably go back to others. It'll be some wacko thing. But here we go with the great issue of the week. Jeff the Landshark, number 1. Now, Jeff the Landshark has had a bunch of books, but it's always been, repurposing the Infinity comics. So I haven't even read them. But here we go with Kelly Thompson back writing Jeff in a series, I guess. By the end of this, I'm calling it a one-shot because we ain't doing any more of this.
Jim, maybe read this, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll even tell you right now, I love the art, except I don't like the art. I love the art as little chibi type deal, but boy, I think storytelling is almost...
I love the artist's name, I'll say that.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to go through, I like that as well, but when you get into it, first off, Jeff doesn't talk, so there's not much of a story going on, but when you get... I didn't even know what was happening half the time.
I thought we were going to get a silent issue, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, that would have been okay. Written by Kelly Thompson, art by Taka Takoro, colors by Jim Campbell, letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. Here's the recap, or at least get us into Jeff. Jeff the Landshark is back and making his biggest splash yet. Originally created by MODOK. Yup, that MODOK. Jeff was adopted by Gwenpool, quickly became a beloved member of the superhero community. West Coast Avengers was the big deal when he first showed up. Whether he's hanging with superhero pals like Gwen and Kate Bishop or heading off on adventures of his own, Jeff is everyone's favorite tiny tooth troublemaker. Now,
not mine.
Jeff's huge on Rivals. That's why we are getting more and more Jeff. But in the meantime, there's a fine line between getting enough Jeff and getting too much Jeff. And I think they've crossed that line a while ago. But here we go. And you end up having Jeff wake up. He was having a picnic in New York City, Central Park, wakes up, wonders what is happening. I like that he rolls up his mat and puts it away in his basket and goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum for whatever reason we don't know. So ends up there. You see Doctor Strange leaving, so obviously this is not in continuity. And he busts in and he gets told by the snakes, which I like the snakes when they're, they're
they were the best part of this issue.
Whatnot. But yeah. And what it is that you have
Anton and Alistair.
Thompson. Yep, Alistair and Anton. Kelly Thompson needs somebody to talk, so you get the snakes. And basically what the snakes are going to do in this is, oh, no, he's doing this. Oh, no, he's doing that. They're just narrating what Jeff is doing while we're seeing Jeff do it. But I lost track of a bit where at one point he goes and he sees these crystals and he goes to eat them. for some reason, but it's because he's Jeff. And they're like, oh no, he ate that crystal and now he has Cthulhu octopus arms. Oh no, he ate this other crystal and I don't know what happened the next time. It was like Pop and made everybody into a cartoony, hand-drawn universe. But
I thought we dropped into an issue of Absolute Martian Manhunter there, Jim, for a minute.
And so it doesn't really play out. It's like, Anton, what's going on? Oh, no, they affected our... I'm like...
Paper Mario, even.
Yeah, it does look like that.
Wow.
But then you just get away from it. So it's just boom, boom. I'm like, what just happened? And even then, it looks like,
does he spit it out or does he throw it away, the psychedelic dye?
Yeah, he throws it away. But again, you're playing in a very cartoony style. So the psychedelic deal, you might have been able to do it a little different to make it a little more oomph, really change the style. But yeah, so he's just eating these things. He's eating these, crystals. Some of them look like D&D dice.
I was just going to say that. It's a D20, Jim. What's
going
on?
It looked like the D20 at one point. I'm like, oh my, you better not roll, a 0 or a 1.
A 0.
A critical miss. But he ends up where they're like, knock him over, hit the table
The
over.
snakes are angry, this is like Sanctum Sanctorum property, get in.
Yeah. So even when they knock him over, and then the next page, there's too much going on. There's the snakes, you got things, but there's too much going on and nothing happening. And the art is very over the top in your face, and I can't follow it. And it does give a little bit of a more cartoony deal, but a little Peach Momoko feel as well, a very anime.
A little bit, yeah. But you're right, it is a bit hard to follow at times, isn't it? Yeah, there is too much going on here.
And the weird thing is, the story isn't really anything, so why is it so hard for me to follow? And this is going to be very quick, as I said, but you end up where Jeff ends up, I guess, knocking over this urn of a shadow demon that comes.
It smashes and it breaks out. Yeah, that's it. So steals his shadow. Me and my shadow. I'll start singing.
Finally, at the end, it is funny because Deadpool shows up, and Kelly Thompson wrote Deadpool and actually interacted with Jeff in that because everything she does at Marvel has to have Jeff in it. But you end up where it was awful. I hate it.
She's written Deadpool before because I got to say the voice for Deadpool in this is not good.
And that's where she ended up doing Deadpool.
Not
and
good.
That, and then Alyssa Wong, they tend to write Deadpool in this weird, just a dude hanging out. It's never fun.
They don't get it.
Wasn't, yeah. And so I remember when her run, which I do think only lasted 10 issues as well and got canceled.
Do you remember Joe Kelly, Jim, speaking of Spider-Man, when he was writing it back in the day, wasn't he?
Yeah, and when you had some of the recent and that Cody Ziegler nonsense too, the idea that they're seem to be afraid to be funny, seem to be afraid to be over the top or be a little risque. They just have Deadpool oh, here we go again, and oh my goodness, and have these crazy problems. But it was Monster Island at that point, not good. But he finally says at the end, I don't know why you need a shadow. I thought the same thing. I'm like, really? If the worst thing that can happen is you get shadow stolen, screw that. If you start telling me your shadow's your soul or something, then I'll tell you, wake up, hippie. It's not that. But in the meantime, I'm like, no fuss, no muss. Why do you need it? But the play is the shadow demon's going to go and make Jeff look bad because nobody could possibly think that that's not Jeff when it's just a shadow, right?
I don't know, Jim, it does at one point gets a little bit existential. It's having a shadow means we're real, we're human, we exist, don't we? So what happens if you don't get a shadow? If your shadow disappears, it's like a Haruki Murakami book, by the way. I was reading
yeah, well, and Deadpool explains it and then goes, that's bull crap.
You don't really need it.
Yeah, so you end up with the shadow demon version of Jeff, who then pops through a portal, and pretty much you have to have Jeff go chasing. It's going to end up being, I guess, a mini-series of...
It's going to be a long chase scene, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's going to pop in here and deal with Daredevil. Then he's going to pop in there and deal with Gwenpool. Then he's going to... I just think that's all it's going to be.
It's listed so far for 4 issues, June, July, August, September. That's all it's saying.
Deal. And I would guess that it's maybe a 5-issue mini they do at Marvel. But, people might know, whatever. But you do go and he's chasing... It's weird, too. He's chasing the shadow demon version of himself. and just ends up back in New York, even though we see pterodactyls and things in a future. And I'm like, why don't we do that? But instead, boom, Central Park. He's right back there, but he runs into Deadpool. And this is where you get that it's not a good voice. Like, if you are somebody, I don't hear voices in my head, not at least when I'm reading comics, but I can't hear like Ryan Reynolds' voice, or I can't hear this. But sometimes when you do read it, I can get that. Like, oh yeah, this just sounds like some rando that put on the costume, because it's not funny. It's not anything. It's just kind of blah. And that's what I thought of her run of Deadpool, where he's like, well, let me think about this. Hey, I saw this friend of yours, and he didn't quite look like you, but he was a little darker, and he's causing problems, and you don't have a shadow. I'm like, where's the fun?
This sounds nothing like Deadpool that I've read, in the past. No idea.
Just the idea,
where are the
where's
risque
the fun?
jokes all
This
the time?
is Jeff the Land Shark and Deadpool, and it's not fun at all. I don't even get a smile. When you end up, the only thing that I thought, it's not even that funny, but the snakes are going, look at his little legs. I'm like, all right.
The snakes, again, were the best part. Do you like this? The Deadpool scenes, think about it, like, from what I've seen, there's not many reviews of this book, people saying, oh, great, it's an all-ages book. How many kids are going to read this and enjoy this?
Yeah, and I don't think, and if you're there and you're like,
it's just boring.
And if you're like, I like Jeff from Rivals and go see what's going on, it's very, very boring and a little confusing at that point.
Again, the Jeff and the snakes, that's the best scenes in the book. I think the kids will enjoy that part. That's about it.
Yeah, maybe. But they'll be like, oh, Deadpool. And then because it's shifted towards maybe all ages, you can't have Deadpool, being that sexy or whatever.
Guess so.
But it's just not great. I mean, and also, I think that this is something I complained about with Kelly Thompson before. When she did Deadpool, he also talks a lot. And I know that when he talks a lot, it's usually like pop culture references out the wazoo. He'll get stuck on the Golden Girls, or he'll end up doing this, whatever it would be. But in this, it's just big word bubbles with no sort of...
It's just general talk about what's going on.
I mean, just random. There's not one in particular. It just ends up, all of them are really big. So I'll just read one random one. It's like, but I see the look you're giving me, and I take it back. There's definitely no money in making many versions of you for people to buy. I see it's wrong. I know. I apologize. What he's saying is the idea that they're over-marketing Jeff, but it's not making it a joke. It should be the idea that he talks about how he uses them in Rivals, and he does this. You can break the fourth wall with Deadpool, and she doesn't do it. She just ends up kind of alluding to things because, hey, MODOK made you. Maybe I'll make a ton of you, and then it doesn't even make sense. And then he gets mad, and he keeps yelling, and he's trying to show Deadpool, look, you have a shadow, and I don't. But even then, it's not great. Here's the deal where you're going to have miscommunication between Jeff and Deadpool, where you can get some fun. He says, oh, we're going to do this guessing game then? Okay. Then grass, because he's pointing to the shadow on the grass, Jeff. And then he's like, no, okay, green. Still no park. Me? Sorta, ruggedly charming anti-hero, perhaps. All this time, Jeff is getting upset. And then he points to the sun. And this is where you do pop culture. It doesn't, he goes, sun, day after tomorrow. Tomorrow never dies, die another day. These are all just Bond movies now. What?
It's a huge stretch to get a connection.
There's no progression here of a joke. And then out of nowhere it goes, oh, shadow. Like, what? And then he goes, oh, you don't have a shadow. That's where you said it's like, oh, that makes you not a person, whatever. Oh, my God, you got to go get it. And, it's bad. It's pretty bad. We're done. And Jeff, though, his expressions are great. But through all of this, after all this nonsense with Deadpool that doesn't even get a bit funny, Jeff ends up at one point makes a joke like, what happens then when Deadpool says, hey, I'm going to give you a secret plot device for later? Jeff says, I don't have pockets, but some weird deal. Gets something that I don't know. It's not even clear. And then sees a portal and jumps through it. That's it. Again, you're setting up nonsense with this special secret plot device that when we get back to it, we won't, but they won't even remember it. But boom, through the portal, and there's the shadow demon again. And it's like, oh, next double trouble. I'm like, yeah, this isn't great. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And I think that Jeff works better as a character that shows up randomly on a team that people don't like, with Gwenpool on West Coast Avengers. That's fine. Or in little one-shots or Infinity Comics. This is not...
Come on, Jim. You know it's going to be like 10 out of 10 on League of Comic Book Geeks or on CDR.
They're trying desperately to get onto the Jeff, big Jeff hype. But to me, it's not actually the hype in the comics. It's the hype in the Rivals. It's the hype in other things. It doesn't work. It didn't work well in Kelly Thompson, creator. So it's not like I can say, oh, it's a person who came on. It's not as good. This is pretty bad. It's not even just bad. It's just boring. It's just nothing. So I'm guessing, and it's a number one, Jeff is hot, right? I'm guessing there's not going to be many reviews for it anyway. I'm looking now. There's only a couple that hit. Usually the reviews hit at 9 in the morning. We're doing this at 9:38. So some have hit. You have 2 for Aliens versus Avengers, 1 for Amazing Spider-Man. Not a ton. But no Jeff yet. No, I don't
for Jeff yet. No.
And that's where it's people who have the review copies. And even then, like usually, obviously, when the embargo lifts at 9 a.m., you get a round of people who have the review copies. We have the review copies. Nobody's rushing to do these reviews first. Like nobody cares, because I don't think people are caring right now that much about Marvel in general. And it might be because of books like this, or Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, or Power Man Timeless. These books, Gwenpool. We did the first issue, but we didn't. Fantastic Four, Fanfare, Doomsday. Like, none of these are must-reads in my mind, or even get you excited. You see number ones, and you're just like, oh, Emma Frost, okay. And then you look at the creative teams and either don't recognize the people or recognize them as being, pretty much bad. But what would you give this?
Goodness gracious! Well, I don't know what to go for this, because some people might argue, oh, it's not meant to be for you. It's all ages. It's for kids. But tell you, if I was a kid reading this, I would be bored. I'm going 4 out of 10.
I'm going to go 3. And 3, you know why? If you do go back and look at the receipts, as they say, I loved Jeff. When Jeff first showed up in West Coast Avengers, I loved him. I thought he was great. I argued with Eric about him on the podcast. Said, oh my God, he's so good. That's also when you had Brodok, the bro version of MODOK, and he was made, instead of made for killing, he was made for kissing. I thought it was funny. I'm one of the few people who will say I do like Kelly Thompson. Love her absolute Wonder Woman. But I liked her West Coast Avengers that nobody seemed to like. I liked her, Black Widow, that a lot of people liked, that just ended up being delayed too much and then got canceled.
Yeah, that was decent. I remember that.
And I read every issue of her Captain Marvel, and I liked a bunch of them. I think I liked more than I didn't like. So I would say that it was fairly positive. She just ended up getting wacky at times. A lot of girls' night out issues with these continuing bad jokes. I think that one of the things that happens with her is she thinks she's funny. I don't think she's funny at all. And Jeff is a funny character and whatnot, but I don't think that she has it to do that. Deadpool, she definitely didn't, and shows it again in this issue. Just not fun. So
listen to this, Jim. We were talking this before we went live, or before we recorded, but just this week alone, Marvel have got, are you ready? 21 books out, not including the Infinity Comics. 21
books. And right now,
how many of those are like essential buys?
Yeah, and so when you do that, you end up where I'm looking, and of all those books, again, usually what you want to do is review these things and get them out right away. So you're the big, everybody will go and read your reviews. And there is only right now 1, 2, 3, 5 books that have any reviews yet. And it's 40 minutes now after you can break the embargo. And some of these are just like, yeah, nobody's reviewing this stuff. And even the Ultimate stuff gets mixed in, because Ultimates was out. Everybody telling me that book is great. I didn't like it. And you even have one review up for that, and it's aped. And they gave it a 7. So that means, holy moly, like they don't go that low. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. But yeah, that's it, though. That is it for the show. A little downer. I think that Moon Knight gets Book of the Week from us, and I didn't even like that much. So hopefully next week we'll have some cool books, but I'm
looking forward to hearing. What else did you review, Jim, with the other people?
ASM. That's it.
Is it?
Yeah, there were so many books, but
You're not doing Godzilla versus Avengers?
No, I didn't do that X-Men. I stopped reading. That's the weird thing, too. A lot of times when we have a show, I'll still read the books. We just don't review them because of time or whatever. Somebody isn't reading it or whatnot. Half of these books I'm not even reading
Aliens
anymore.
versus Avengers, Jim, that was being bigged up, wasn't it? Although it's very infrequent. That's the problem.
Yeah, it has that weird every other month schedule.
Yeah,
everybody loves that book, but I don't really care for aliens. I don't really know much about them, so I never read it, but I'll probably read that eventually. I said to Matt that I would catch up on that because it does seem like everybody really thinks that's a great book. So, and that has 2 reviews. People are at least coming to review that. And it's a 9 out of 10 so far, so that's pretty cool. But we'll see. Godzilla versus Avengers has 1 review, a 5.5. So, and I mentioned earlier, but if you are somebody who goes to the sites or whatnot to see Gabe's reviews, Gabe's stepping back from reviewing for a while. He has a family issue, but Gray's going to jump on and do a couple. I told Gray, don't break your back.
I'm just going to drop an ASM review. Come on, Jim.
I'd rather do the podcast, but then again, I mean, what is yelling all the time? I'm kind of sick of it, but I can't. We review what we review. So there you go. I'm as depressed as everybody else. When people at the end are like, why do you do this? This and that. I question it all the time as well, but this is what we do. I don't want to just drop the whole podcast just because I don't like. Some people actually act like, well, just don't review anything until something comes. Like once you drop it, it's done. You just walk away. I don't want to do that, but I do want to read some things. I want to like some things. So eventually we will. But that's it. That's it from me and you. Thank you, Greg. Tell everybody where they can find you before we get out of here.
Okay, you can find me on YouTube's under Wakizashi's Tea House. I just talked a review of Amazing Spider-Man issue 6.
Yeah, so go there. The link will be in the show notes. We're going to go out with your theme. So if people are confused, not as confused as some of those scenes in Jeff the Land Shark, but still, it is all about Gray here. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.
「感動して感謝しました」「本当に大好きです」「私は普通の男ではありません」「私はもう本性の愛です」「私にからかわないでください」「そうしないとあなたは消えてしまいます」「私は普通の男です」「でも私はあなたを殺します」「だからそのまま